Hey, and welcome to another Industry Night with me, Nycci Nellis, the show that takes you on the deep dive of the happenings in and around the hospitality community. So if you're new here, hi, welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you're old here, thanks for always coming back. A little bit about me for those who are new to the show. I have been covering the DC food, wine, and hospitality scene for the last 20 plus years. It all started with the list, areyouwantit.com, the online e-zine that tells you absolutely everything happening in the DC metro area. Every food and wine event, every opening, every experience, all the things you want to do in the hospitality industry, it's all there for you. Of course, you tune in and hear me every Sunday for DC's only food and wine variety show on Foodie and the Beast. We are celebrating 16 years on air. It's so exciting. Of course, you hear me on WTOP, where I tell you what to do and where to go. And you follow me on social at NYCCINELLIS on all the platforms, but especially on Instagram, right? Because that's like where everybody's going these days for all the things. But we're still on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Threads, all those others as well. And of course, this show, Industry Night, now in its 8th year. And we're so fortunate that Heartcast Media has picked us up. And we are now on YouTube as well. So all the ways to listen, see, do, and feel. So if you're watching on YouTube, and I hope you are, you may be like, where is she this week? Because I'm not at Barrel Oak. I have 2 more shows that I'm doing out there at that fantastic winery. But today I'm at someplace else. I am at Old House Vineyard. But don't let the name fool you, because it's a vineyard, it's a brewery, it's a distillery, it's a restaurant. I mean, I don't know what's going on here, but I cannot wait to talk with the people here who can explain it all to us, because it's insane. And I want to explain where I am. I'm in Culpeper. So I want to tell you why I'm in Culpeper. So about a year ago, I was at this event called MATPRA. And it is, I'm going to read it, it is the Mid-Atlantic Tourism Public Relations Alliance. And it brings in DC, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, West Virginia, like people from these smaller municipalities and journalists. And it's a way to communicate about what's happening. And oh my God, did I learn so much. But I wound up sitting next to Nicole Warner, who is the comms director here in Culpeper. And she started telling me all about the beautiful historic downtown center. She was like, did you know there's a truffle farm in Culpeper? And I was like, no. And she was like, did you know there's a bison farm that you can go and visit in Culpeper? And I was like, no, I didn't know that either. And then she said, did you know about the trifecta that we have? And I was like, yeah, girl, I don't know what you're talking about. But she was talking about where I am right now, because it's a brewery, it's a distillery, and it's a winery. So I was like, I got to get down to Culpeper. And she was like, yeah, you do. So here I am, thanks to them, in Culpeper. And here's who I'm going to be chatting with today. I'm going to be talking with Paige Reed. She's the director of Culpeper Tourism. And she's going to explain how this whole thing came to be, which is so exciting to me. I'm going to be talking to Ryan Carney. He is the GM of this family-owned vineyard, distillery, and brewery that I'm sitting in right now. Olivia Taylor and Vanessa Shea, they're with Virginia Truffles. I cannot wait to talk about their story. Oh, and I'm going to see Bison later, but Stephen Williams is here with me from Virginia Bison Company. He's going to give us their story. And then Jocelyn Yarnell. She is with Green Ribbon Restaurant, and she is the cook here at Old House Vineyards. And she's going to tell us all about what she's executing here, because this place is enormous and it's insane. So it's also exciting because not only am I here and I'm going to talk to all these great people and you get to hear all about it, but I'm also going to go and visit a lot of places. So you definitely want to follow me on Instagram, because I'm going to be posting reels and stories. And actually, if you're following me on Instagram, I do want to thank you so much, because I know I've been changing up my posts the last couple of weeks. I was really loath to do it. Listen, I'm on YouTube, I have radio shows, I'm on TV all the time. If you put the camera on me or put a mic in my hand, I light up. But if I have to turn the camera on myself, I get a little self-conscious. So doing that on social makes me feel very strange. having said that, I've been doing it more and more, and your response has been amazing. I've been doing the Nycci Knows News, which you all seem to love, and then some public service announcements about being a patron in the hospitality business, and also being in the hospitality business. So how to behave as a patron and how to behave on the other side, because sometimes we all don't see eye to eye. So keep your comments coming. Let me know what you think. I really love it. Okay, so at this part of the show, I always tell you what I've been doing, because you know your girl has been out and about. So thanks to Barrel Oak, I get to go to some wonderful places out in Marshall, and I popped into the Whole Ox, which is this terrific market and butcher shop. But they have amazing sandwiches. So if you're ever out in Marshall, not only do you want to go to Red Truck Bakery and pick up some baked goods, but you definitely want to get the Bison Burger. It's not from the same Bison company, unfortunately, but the Bison Burger is delicious, and they serve it with amazing fries, and you can pick up some amazing Virginia wine. Like, definitely check out that place. Also in DC, Amma has opened up. So this is Johanna Helrigel and Michael Wilder. You know them very well. Johanna used to be over at Doi Moi, but she's finally opened up her own restaurant. And she comes from an Italian family. Her father owned restaurants in Italy and New York. And it's just like a love letter to her growing up. Amazing pastas, terrific focaccia. Of course, Micah is doing incredible cocktails. You want a seat at the bar, okay? Because there is this gorgeous, gorgeous espresso maker that is shipped in from Italy. And also you can see the staff scooping up the house-made pistachio gelato, which is ridiculous. So Amma, add that to your list. And then where else have I been? Oh, I went to the beach. So I was at the Fenwick, Delaware beaches just for a week. I go every summer, usually a couple times. But I want to tell you, other than the Thrasher's fries, which are yummy, and the, what's the name of the, Fractured Prune donuts, which you get them hand dipped. They're hot. They're so good. There's a new restaurant in Rehoboth. It's called Drift. Tom Wissel is the chef there. And I just think they're doing some incredible, incredible food. Really thoughtful menu. He's doing this lobster French toast, which is ridiculous. But also he did a gorgeous peach and blackberry panzanella salad. Local peaches, local blackberries. It's just super smart. They also have a lot of seafood, an amazing raw bar. It's really small. It's really darling. You need a reservation, and you're welcome. Okay, so let's go to Culpeper. I'm going to bring in Paige Reed, and we're going to get a whole 411 on this town and what's going on here, because it's amazing. So Culpeper, I did some homework. It's named the prettiest town in Virginia by Architectural Digest in 2018. It does have a lot of small town charm, but it's kind of close to everything. It's not far from DC or Fredericksburg or Charlottesville. And it's kind of the perfect escape. So here, I did my homework, I'm gonna read it, even though I have Paige sitting here with me and she can tell us everything. The town of Culpeper is a place of history. There's quite a bit of growth here over the past few years. There's all these great boutiques in the historic district, which I cannot wait to go shopping in. There's a ton of local breweries, winery, obviously, look at where we are. And we're not far from the Shenandoah, so you can go hiking. And there's also this love sculpture. It's right outside my darling little hotel, which I want Paige to tell us all about. So Paige Reed, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about Culpeper, because I was telling you before we went on air that 30 years ago, my sister went to UVA Law.
Yes.
And I was in DC, and we met in Culpeper as a place to meet each other. And there wasn't a lot going on here. There wasn't a lot to eat, I could say that much. So can we talk about the last 30 years? Because it feels like an entire
lifetime.
Shift. Yeah, an entire shift has happened here. So let's hear about it.
Well, 30 years ago predates my time in Culpeper, but as I know it, John Yard...
I mean, because you were 10, so come on, let's be serious. But anyway.
True. So Davis Street, which is our award-winning Main Street, which I know you stayed on last night at Suites 249. So Davis Street kind of saw a revitalization in the mid-90s, and some of the early folks, Susan Barnhart with the Camelier, you know, she opened in 1993. And then John Yarnell came in 1995 and opened It's About Time. Now
And that's Jocelyn's father?
Correct.
Okay.
And
So we have a lot of history here.
Yes,
okay.
we do. He was an assistant chef to the White House during the Nixon administration. And with those two establishments on Davis Street, we started to see a change. More and more investment came in, more entrepreneurs came and invested. Diane Logan became our first certified Main Street director and really was able to bring economic vitality back into both Main Street, Davis, East Street, that whole historic district that you referenced. And today we are, we've got businesses waiting for vacancies to come and invest in our community. And, we host visitors from literally around the globe. And it's this beautiful blend of small business and neighbors and visitors. And so we're predominantly female owned in entrepreneurship, which is really kind of unique.
Yes.
And what comes with that is this beautiful collaboration and partnerships where they are really excited for each other's success. And they empower each other to really find their version of success. And so you'll see it in complimentary window displays. You'll see it when chefs actually recommend a different establishment if you're seeking a different type of cuisine. And they are a knit group, and it's just a blessing that I get to work with them. I mean, they're our partners, and they make the job easy. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like it. So let's talk a little bit about the retail and restaurant and sort of how these businesses have blossomed over the years. And it doesn't look specifically curated, but it feels very curated. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're walking down the street, there's a darling coffee shop and a beautiful boutique and a gorgeous little restaurant. Like it looks like somebody was like, this is what small town should feel like. Do as you're walking down the street. So can we talk about how you engaged with some of the different retail or maybe not how you engaged, even though I know you do, but what that experience is for somebody coming to Culpeper?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of a touch of nostalgia, where you kind of get to slow down and prioritize your life over all the, all the mess of life.
Right.
So I think a lot of, especially when you talk about the ecosystem, that blend, that mix, I think it's it's tested and tried by us, the consumers, by the visitors. So, the balance between retail and boutique and food and drink, it's there because that's what we're patroning. That's what we're supporting. That's what not just our community and our region, comes back to time and time again, but it's also what draws people in. And so, small business, I think, is the hardest business to do. I mean, they dedicate their lives to it. And so, they put out what they want to bring to the world, and the world gets to tell them if they like it or not.
It is the hardest part about the job. That's very true.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that it's all independent.
It is.
Which I applaud.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is that hard to maintain? Because
it can be.
Because
it can
especially
be.
Since you're talking about the fact that people are coming to you and being like, let us know when you have a space.
Yes.
And I don't want to get
layered.
Right. I don't want to get too businessy, like go down a rabbit hole of just my interest, but like, does that mean that the real estate prices are ticking up? Like, as those prices tick up, it's harder for independents to maintain those or get those spaces.
And that's where the layering comes into play. So we not only have amazing businesses, and we have a lot of owner operated, so where they actually own their real estate as well, but we also have a handful of folks that, that footprint. And they really want to see the businesses succeed. They see it as a partnership. So from a landlord's perspective, they want that business to do well. And so they find that kind of medium
that makes me
what the
tear up.
business needs to be able to be successful in that space, and what the land, the property owner needs to be able to keep the property invested and looking good, and really kind of that view. Yeah.
And so let's talk about some of the restaurants that are there right now. The hotels, the restaurants, like you don't have a ton of hotels here, but you guys are in a really interesting space that you get to talk about the Airbnbs or like the suites I'm staying in.
So Suites 249 is one of the early non-traditional lodgings. So when I say non-traditional, I mean not big box, brand. Now we have those. We have Wyndham, we have Hilton, we have those brands, and that's wonderful. And they're incredible partners too. And they even have local owners. So Don't forget about them.
Right.
But then some of our more boutique lodging partners and our short-term rentals, it really allows people to have the local experience where you kind of just get to wake up and set about your day and see what comes. And so Suites 249, Sandy Hall, he's one of our partners in our community. And Sandy has suites, he has the Culpeper Center, and actually one of the restaurants here, Flavor on Main, which is this beautiful European-inspired American cuisine. Chef Fabrizio has done a phenomenal job over the last few years of really taking seasonal inspiration and putting it in his dishes. And they also have a pretty cool libations menu.
Okay.
So that's right there on the corner of Main Street, just next to Frost Cafe, which is one of our legacy restaurants and really a local's favorite. So, and like you said, Suites 249 sits right next to the Loveworks.
Right. What is that?
Okay, so Loveworks is a big thing in Virginia. Virginia is for lovers.
Right.
So many, many moons ago, Loveworks kind of came into play, and you can find them all over. So ours came in 2012, and it's an ode to the Library of Congress.
Right, because, tell this story, because it's a good one.
So we have the National Audio Conservation Center here in Culpeper, where the Library of Congress preserves, protects, and stores over 90 miles of film recordings, sound recordings, all things film and audio. And it's phenomenal. There's a 205-seat theater there. There's free films on the weekends. And this goes back to every film you can think of. Silent films, lost films.
And it's all here?
It's all right here.
That's insane.
And so that is a branch of the Library of Congress. And the folks that work there are some of my favorite people because they are talk about the passion that you have to have for your job.
Right.
What they get to do there is really unique. It absolutely is unique. It's the only place in the world that does what they do. So
that's the that's like
so
the nod.
reels, exactly.
Yes.
So the Loveworks, the artist Roki Castro, he is a local as well. So Roki kind of, each of the letters in the Loveworks, they're reels, old reels from back when we actually used to run 35 millimeter film.
Okay.
And that was the design of the Loveworks, and it was placed there, and it's actually an award-winning Loveworks. Virginia Living loves us. A lot of people love us. And it's a great backdrop for family photos, for graduation photos, for engagement photos. Our visitor center is right across, and do you know how many engagements we get to watch firsthand? It's like this little bonus that you get when you spend your day at work and you watch people get engaged.
That did not occur to me, but I bet that's really fun. Okay, so let's talk about also, as I was driving in, I was like, oh my God, brewery.
Yes.
What's going on with the breweries here in Culpeper?
So Culpeper kind of sits at the heart of Virginia's Piedmont. And what's really wonderful is we're these rural communities with amazing downtowns, but we also have really bountiful land, and it makes for a great adult libations.
Yes.
So you can grow most of the natural ingredients right here. And over the past 10 years, we've really seen a lot of investment from DC, from Richmond, from outside. Folks come in and they invest. We've opened up Old Trade Brewery. We have Mountain Run Winery, and they also do mead and cider. We've got Far Gone and the story of Steve and how he likes to do German-inspired immigrant beers is phenomenal, not to mention the pizza and trivia night. And then it goes further and further. And so we actually have a agro-artisan tourism trail, which is called the Purely Piedmont, where you can actually kind of go out there and find all of those great producers.
Oh, cool.
And then along the way, you might also find some really great art.
Oh,
so,
all right. I feel like that's a whole other show.
I mean, we could
really
do that
go
for
down
days.
a rabbit hole. Okay.
We could do that for days.
All right. Well, I want to get to my next guest. So before I bring on Ryan, can you tell us why we're here today filming in this property?
Oh my God. You're not supposed to have favorites, but they're my favorite family.
You're not supposed to say that. Okay.
I know, but I say it all the time.
All right. So go ahead.
Pat, Allison, their kids, Grandma Kathleen, Ryan, Liam, his sister Brittany, they invested in Culpeper, and they took an alfalfa farm and they built a winery. And upon that success, they built a distillery, and then now we have a brewery. And what I love about it is they embody everything that Culpeper is. Right. They embody championing others, championing Jocelyn and her sisters to open Green Ribbon and see their success. Winemaker, Chris, everybody here is, they're just dedicated to providing exceptional service and even better product. And you get to do it at the base of the Shenandoah National Park, and you have these Blue Ridge Mountains in your skyline, and you're 5 minutes from downtown. And And honestly, you can spend weekends here. You can spend a whole day here. You get lost here.
I know. I can't
And you
wait.
never get bored, and you never go hungry.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to say goodbye to you at the moment.
Yes.
I'm going to bring you back on at the end, just so you can give everybody sort of like the deal, like
That works.
where to go, what to do, all those things. But so
I appreciate it.
I'm going to say goodbye to you, and I'm going to
Okay.
bring on Ryan. Thanks,
Works for me.
Paige.
Thanks.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to be talking with Ryan Carney. He is with Old House Vineyard Brewery and Distillery. This is a family-run business. It's massive. I don't feel like I could properly explain it all to you, so that's why I begged Brian to join me so he could tell us everything that's happening. Also, all their incredible products. There's a lot of medals here, a lot of award winners. So Old House Vineyards, it's a brewery, it's a winery, it's a distillery. Ryan, tell us a little bit about how this all came to be.
Well, thank you. Well, there's no master plan. It's sort of been an evolution and figuring out as it's been going on. Depending on how you look at it, from when we bought the property to when we made our first vintage to when we opened our tasting room. We've been out here in Culpeper for about 25 years now. And sort of the changes that have happened along the way have been a little crazy.
Okay, so but was the intent to open up a winery?
Not originally. It came about because my dad builds museum exhibits and visitor centers for a living as his day job, and he had helped build the original Culpeper History Museum in the area, which is sort of why he was familiar with Culpeper. Our family coming out of Northern Virginia. And this property, which was an alfalfa hay farm that had been abandoned for about a decade, just showed up in the paper one day. So my parents and my siblings came out on Mother's Day, saw the property, and my parents decided that it could be a fun spot to do a getaway in the country. And there was no master plan other than a spot to come fishing on the weekends.
Okay, so when did it come to them where they were like, okay, let's grow grapes? Like, did they know that the land was good for grape growing? I mean, was there any sort of knowledge, or were they like, let's just give this a try?
Yeah, so on the property here, the only building that was still here was an 1890s farmhouse, and my dad, since his background is woodworking, would come down on the weekends and start fixing it up. And while he was here, in the Culpeper area was Old Dominion, which was a winery co-op at the time, a massive operation sourcing grapes from all over the East Coast, trying to get wineries sort of established out here. And my dad had a wine tasting there one day, said that he had just bought some land in Culpeper, and one of the guys that he was talking to there just was like, you should plant some grapes. And my dad, not knowing any better, decided that sounded like fun.
That's such an easy thing to do. Okay, so fast forward. Now, how many kinds of wines are you making? Like, I'm seeing a whole bunch of different things here. So talk to me about the wines that are coming out of Old House Vineyards.
Yeah, so we have about 32 acres under vine. Everything that you taste here from the wine side is also grown here on site. Have about 12 different wines that we make using about 8 different varietals. Everything is pretty much produced, grown, and sold out of Culpeper at our location here. The whole goal is, if we can get you to come visit us here, that's what we want you to do.
You'll stay. We don't let you leave.
But we don't just have the wine. The distillery we opened about 10 years ago.
Okay, so now why a distillery? Because I have to be honest, most of the wineries that I know in Virginia, if they're not just solid winery, they will add a brewery, but I have not seen a distillery. So why was that your next step?
Yeah, so again, no master plan in the works.
Right. No, I get it. I get it, and I'm here for it.
We really wanted the license just so that we can make our own brandy for the port-style fortified wines, dessert wines that we make on site. But because we were one of the first winery distillery co-located properties, took about 2 years for the ABC to get us our license.
Yeah, because
for
10
the
years
distillery.
ago, that was not a thing,
Yeah,
right? Like 12 years ago, I think, or because I'm trying to think, like it took a while for different counties in Virginia to allow distilleries to be up and running again. Like there was a whole bunch of legal issues.
Yeah, when we started the distillery licensing project, there was only about 5 distilleries currently operating in the state with a tasting room. It was, it's a very interesting dynamic in that, most distilleries are purely production operations where they're making bottles and you can go and buy them at the ABC stores. There wasn't, like there is today, that experience factor that you get at wineries and breweries where you go and get to visit the site, do tastings at the physical location, talk to the people behind the bar. And so, we weren't really ready to delve into that either.
Right.
But by the time we went through the 2 years of licensing to try to get, just make a small amount of brandy,
Right,
it was
we're just trying to make some brandy.
We're going to make our own products now as well.
Okay.
And so now we do everything from brandy to vodka to gin to whiskey to flavored whiskeys like our coffee house whiskey there. Pretty much anything. One unique thing about us, among a couple of unique things, is that we do have a full-time winemaker, a full-time distiller, a full-time brewer, and so they each control their own operations, and they each have their own personalities that they impart into the products that they make.
So you have a lot of SKUs for both the distillery and the winery, and let's talk a little bit about the brewery. So at what point did you add that component?
Yeah, so the brewery is definitely our most ambitious project to date.
I see it over there. It's massive.
Yeah, and so again, originally, there was a dairy barn over here that had burned down in the 1960s, and the original foundation for what now is a 15,000 square foot facility over here, we were going to do sort of a pole barn, sort of, low-key brewery operation, and then we had a microburst storm come through in 2016 that wiped out the foundation. So that was sort of God looking out for us, I think, a little bit, saying it would be a bad idea to build a facility on this. And so we sort of scrapped that and then sort of built a little bit more state-of-the-art facility over here. What building is the newest as you visit the winery, brewery, and distillery based on how big our drains get. The winery has very small drains as it was the first building that went in. The distillery has like decent sized drains, and you get over here and you can fall a foot into our drains. And that's how you know that it's the newest.
So now how many products is coming out of the brewery? So is that just constantly changing?
Yeah, so the brewery changes up a little bit, but the idea is that we primarily do session beers out here, which means beers that are lower ABV, that you can sit down, that you can have a conversation, that you can have 2 or 3 beers, and also drive away at the end of the day versus going somewhere and having a 12% IPA and really only being able to have one and then sort of really need to go home.
I know. I mean, that was what I was going to ask. You have this winery, this distillery, and this brewery, and now a restaurant as well. Is there Uber? I should have asked Paige. Is there a bus system to get people to and from?
Unfortunately, not quite yet. But our key to that is even though breweries are often open later, our big thing about Old House is we are sort of a daytime experience. Mostly we're open between 12 and 6. People come out and visit us. They spend an afternoon. There's not too much hopping around when people come out and visit us. They're really here to spend, the day. And then at 6 o'clock, we say, if you want to keep drinking, we have some other lovely options in town, and you are more than welcome to go there now. And we get to go off to bed.
So people can come out here and experience each thing separately? Tours, all that. Just give me a quick rundown of it.
Yeah, so we pretty much operate as a relaxed, very large picnicking environment. We have different venues on the property that operate, different days of the week, but no matter when you're out here, you can do the wine, beer, spirits. We have fishing down by the pond, and then now we have our full kitchen.
My God, my cameraman Alex loves to fish. Should have done your homework, Alex. You could have gone fishing today. Okay, go ahead.
And then now we have the full kitchen from the Green Ribbon that operates on Fridays 12 to 7:30, Saturdays and Sundays 12 to 5.
And that's in this property where we are right now.
And that's over on the brewery property as well.
Okay, great. All right. Will you tell everybody where we can find you? Because we're going to talk to Jocelyn later about Green Ribbon.
Yeah, for social media.
Yeah.
So we're at Old House today on Instagram, or Old House Vineyards on Instagram, Facebook, oldhousetoday.com, finding about all the events that we do throughout the year as well.
Well, thank you for hosting us today. And I mean, your products are so impressive. We'll make sure everybody learns more about you.
Perfect.
So thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
All right, I'm going on a truffle hunt next, so I can't wait.
Enjoy.
Okay, so as I said in the beginning of the show, there are truffles here in Virginia, and I did not know that. And you know me, I can't believe I don't know anything when it comes to food, especially in my region. So there are truffles here in Culpeper, and I'm so excited because I'm talking to Olivia Taylor and Vanessa Shea. But Olivia, you like to go by Liv?
Yep.
Okay, good, just making sure. And we're gonna talk about the Truffle sisters and how they all got into this biz. So thank you both for joining me. The truffle business in Virginia, who wants to give me the 411? Talk me through it.
So we started in 2007. It was sort of our family pet project, starting with our parents. And there was their retirement project, and it started as a nursery. And we have sort of warped into a agritourism and foodie-centric business.
Okay, let's start with the farming part. Let's start, like, for people who don't know what it takes to create truffles.
Gotcha.
Let's start there. Your parents started planting trees?
Yep, so it's truffles grow on the roots of trees. And so you have to sort of give the trees the fungus. So it's when the trees are really little, you inoculate. I don't know if that's a word you understand, but like basically you give the trees that fungus.
Well, like getting a vaccine.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. And so once the trees have the fungus on their roots, you plant them out in an orchard. And after about 8 years, that fungus has decided it's going to make a truffle underneath the ground.
Okay.
And we take a dog out into that orchard and we start looking for truffles.
But not just one truffle, right? Like once that tree grows, it sort of creates the antibodies, I guess, which are the truffles.
Well, the truffles are the sort of like the reproductive part. So they want to have babies, and so the truffle is the baby maker.
But it keeps producing them, right?
Yep.
It's just not a one-shot deal.
Right. No, but it'll keep doing it for pretty much the whole life of the fungus. So like they'll make it every year. They'll make truffles every year for 30 years.
Wow. And what kind of, there's a lot of different kinds of truffles. So what are we talking about? What did your parents want, and how have you guys grown the business?
So they wanted to plant the Perigord truffle, which is the winter black truffle. And so our product is in the winter time.
Okay.
So we don't start looking for these truffles until December. So
when the ground is really hard.
Yes.
Okay. I just want I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just one type of truffle, and there are lots of different types. Of course, there's truffles, the Italian white truffle.
Sure.
And there are truffles called burgundy truffles. There are truffles called summer truffles. So we just have one type on our farm, and that's the one we're sticking with. But you can actually cultivate lots of different types.
Okay. So why this particular truffle? What is it about it?
Well, it's pretty expensive.
Okay.
So that's one of the
So you're like,
reasons.
it's a really good one.
Yeah, and it's very tasty. It adds a lot of potential to dishes. And of course, the price point's really nice. It is a little bit fickle. It's difficult to grow, but that's part of the challenge. So that's one.
Why is it difficult to grow?
It's just one.
Because you have an ag background, right?
Yes.
So like, with your knowledge, what is it about this that makes it so difficult to grow?
It's just in the soil. There's a lot of different fungal types. There's a lot of different bacterial types, and it appears that this particular type of truffle fungus is easily pushed off the roots of the trees, and we're not quite sure why. But
anywhere, not just here. Anywhere.
Anywhere, but particularly here. It's not indigenous here. It doesn't grow naturally. So you have to work really hard to get it to work here.
Okay.
So.
And what does that mean? Like, what kind of trees are you planting? And is it just the tree that the fungus is growing off of, or do you plant other trees to help support that?
We plant oak trees and we plant hazelnut trees.
Okay.
And those are the trees that this type of truffle really like. So it's sort of an appropriate host tree for this type of truffle. And that's the only type we plant in our orchard.
Okay.
And we don't really plant anything else. You have to keep a lot of the other types of foliage out of there. So we have to mow, we have to keep all the weeds out of there, keep everything out, because it can introduce like a lot of these other things that we don't want.
So you don't want a morel popping up, is what I'm hearing, right?
No, you would take it.
I would
Sure,
take it.
maybe a morel.
Okay, right.
But you don't want like little mushrooms. Like you want to kind of keep the other fungal types out of there.
Okay, and so then now that you have this business and you are harvesting these fabulous truffles, how did you make what was the business model? How do people engage with your business? Are you just selling to restaurants? I know you have experiences now, but can we talk about like how you went from an agribusiness to agritourism?
Right, we did, as soon as we started to get truffles, we started to approach local chefs. We wanted to keep it local. We didn't want to branch out too far, because you don't want to over promise and not be able to provide.
It's not something you can guarantee.
Exactly. So we wanted to stay within 30 minutes of our farm, and so we just kind of knocked on doors and showed up with the fresh truffle and be like, would you be interested? And usually we got a lot of interest, and that was sort of the start of it. And we decided that was how it was going to start, and then we were sort of like, how can we expand our business? And I spent 6 months in Australia and looked at how they were operating and how they were growing their businesses, and that's where I got the idea of the agritourism and how they were expanding their businesses outside of truffle sales, because they have a totally different business model over there. They have more of a collective where there'll be a big sort of wholesaler who will buy up all the truffles from all the little farms, and we don't really have that here. So we had to create something different.
Okay, so how is it executed now? How do people engage with the truffle farms? Oops. Just mark it, okay? Let's ask that question again. How do people engage with the truffle farm?
Well, sorry.
Go for it.
Okay.
Well, in 2020 we started our truffle hunts. And this was
so people can participate in the truffle hunts.
And
Okay,
that's
great.
The exciting part, and that's what we love so much, is inviting people to the farm to experience the truffle hunt. It is unique to this area. I mean, unless you go to Europe, it's something you just can't find. So every Saturday and Sunday from December to early March.
Okay. Bundle up.
Yeah, bundle up.
Yes.
We say wear boots, wear warm clothing.
Okay.
We do sell hats because it's that cold. Some days, you bring out the pickaxe, but it's a 2-hour hunt. We start with hot drinks, a little bit of truffle talk to start off with. We take, it's usually between 12 get to 14 guests, depending on, because you want it to be intimate. It's a very interactive experience. We take, one of us hunts the truffle with a dog, a trained dog, just a portion of the orchard. You don't want to overhunt or have a 6-hour truffle hunt. And then we take the dog. She indicates where the truffles are, and we invite the guests to help dig them up, because it is a fun process. We get a lot of kids, which is really neat.
Do the dogs eat the truffles?
We try not to have that happen.
I know, but it does happen, right?
It does. If we're not paying attention.
And did you train this dog?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Nadine, our primary truffle hunting dog, not only does she like to eat them, but she likes to autograph them, which one of our chefs really likes.
What do you mean? What does she do?
Her nails.
Her
little nails for them?
Yeah. When
so
they
sweet.
dig up the truffle, she gets just that one nail sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So we have to be very careful that the truffle doesn't get harmed.
Of course. Okay, so you bring people out, they get to walk, they get to get the truffles. Like on a normal truffle hunt, on that experience, about how many truffles do you look to pull in?
It depends on the hunt. Yeah. Usually, because we're only doing a small portion of the orchard.
Sure.
If we find 4 or 5,
That's a win.
That's a win. Yeah.
Okay, and then I know your husband is involved, so tell me what happens next in this experience.
So after we come out of the orchard, we've developed a small tasting menu of truffle treats, we call them. And my husband has been very creative creating a menu, which is really nice because it steps up our game. We also discuss how to use truffle in a more simple way, really, to make it more relatable, a little bit.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't really understand
Yep.
what a truffle does and how it adds, because it's really not of flavor as much as it is, your smelling sense. It's really about how it affects you when you inhale, and then what that adds to what you're doing, which is why, I mean, to me, like truffle on eggs is like one of my favorite things. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so delicious, or even just plain pasta and olive oil, like so that it could really shine. But so tell me about some of the things. So like people come, they do the hunt, and then there's a meal. Is it like a lunch or a dinner? How does it work?
More appetizers, so just a little tasting menu. We have, to warm everybody up after they come out of the orchard, we have a truffled carrot bisque, which is a labor of love for me and my husband. We worked on the recipe over and over. We infuse the heavy cream that goes into it. And then we have fresh truffle that's shaved on top, but that's one of our faves.
Okay.
And then we also have truffle deviled eggs. If we have enough duck eggs, we use duck eggs, which is amazing.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And that is, the eggs are infused with the fresh truffle, and we also use truffle infused aioli to make the deviled eggs.
Wow.
Yeah. They're delicious.
Okay.
Then
so it's truffle with a side of deviled eggs.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
But all of these we try to be more subtle with the truffle flavor, because it really is a better enhancer than it is that over-the-top truffle flavor, because that can be off-putting. But it can really just, it can make a dish shine with just that bit of a taste.
And do you feel that after people leave, they have a better appreciation of the truffle and what they've learned? So let's talk a little bit about how people can get in on this. Like, I would assume these sell out, right? So can we talk about like when you're announcing them and how people can sign up for them and what it costs? Like, let's do the whole 411.
So we start selling the tickets early September, late August. They sell up very quickly. We have a waiting list from last year that a part of our deal on joining the waiting list is that we will reach out to them first.
First right of refusal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we open the tickets up to the general public, and if you're on our email list, you will get an email, obviously, and then we post it on social media, we put it on our website. Generally, the tickets are gone in about less than a month.
I bet. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And then we have an online shop that's attached to our website where people can purchase their tickets.
Okay.
And this year we are mixing up a little bit, so we're not sure on the price because we'd like to incorporate bubbles or little sparkling wine. So playing with our model a little
with your
bit
offerings.
more.
I love that. Well, it just sounds like you keep expanding, right? Like
adding a little bit to the experience.
That's amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am to have you both on. I just think what you're doing is amazing. Tell everybody where they can find you, please.
Yeah. So website is, of course, virginiatruffles.com. And then Instagram is Virginia_truffle. And then Facebook is Virginia Truffles. So
Virginia Truffles.
Virginia Truffles.
And everything you heard here, I'm making sure that all of that is going to be on the list, areyouonit.com. But I think if you want to go on a truffle hunt, you need to prepare to make your reservations very soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So thank you both for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Up next, we're talking bison. We'll be back in just a sec. So if you know me, you know I am a total bison fan. As I said in the beginning of the show, I just had like a double bison smash burger in Marshall, Virginia. That was so delicious. I'm a steak lover. I'm a total carnivore. But there's something about bison to me. It tastes like what steak should always taste like. Don't hate me. So I'm so excited because I have Stephen Williams with me. He's with the Virginia Bison Company. And as I also mentioned in the beginning of the show, not only didn't I know there were truffles here, but I also didn't know that there was bison here. So I'm so excited to learn about this Bison Farm and learn about what you guys are doing. Thanks for joining me, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so start from the beginning. When did this Bison Farm begin, and like, are bison indigenous to Virginia?
Yeah, so that was one reason. Mike and Rob, they were both friends, and then they became business partners. They started the farm in 1999, so they've been raising bison since then. And that was one reason they really wanted to work with bison, because they are native to Virginia. They lived and roamed in Virginia in the early 1700s, and it was thought to have the biggest bison population in the mid-Atlantic.
Wow.
Was in Virginia at that time. So that it creates an ease in the farming, because they're already native to this place, so you don't have to do as much.
Because it's indigenous, because it's from here.
Yeah.
And what was your interest? Because you were in the food space, right?
Yes, I worked in the food industry for over 15 years, working or managing restaurants. But there was something that never like sat with me with like overselling people not so healthy food. It was always the practice to be like upsell. And I really wanted to like get into farming. I had done some farming in New Zealand when I went there, and then I lived in Colorado for a bit, and all my friends were in the farming. So when I came to Culpeper, I didn't realize there was so much farming here, and then just happened to find the Bison Farm. I never like sought out bison,
right.
But it's been an incredible, like rewarding
well, so let's talk a little bit about the farm itself. I know how hard it is for farms to get, organic accreditation and certified humane. I mean, these are very expensive endeavors, but I understand that the farm does include those practices. So what does that mean? Not just for, for everything, for the consumer who's going to eat the meat, but for the bison so that they have a healthy and good life, and then for the land, right? Because climate change and how we treat the land, all of it is so important.
Yes, and that is really important to us, like the animals and the land that they're living on. So, we use all natural practices.
And what does that mean, natural practices?
For like an anti-parasite, we have containers of pine needles in the pastures, so that these are things that they would naturally eat in the wild to get rid of any parasites.
Oh, interesting.
So and then we offer them mineral that they would normally lick off rocks in the wild. And then they are on a pasture rotation, so we use a pasture rotation.
So you don't overuse the land?
Yeah, so when one pasture is kind of depleted of its resources, we move them to a new pasture. So it's a very regenerative farming technique, and we let those pastures grow back, and then...
And what do they mostly eat?
They're all pasture or green grass. We do, for our production animals, we have a free choice grain. So grain is just the seed of the grass that they would normally eat on the plains.
And is that as a finishing product?
Yeah, so it's 9 to 12 months before processing that we offer that to them. And it's free choice. They don't overeat like a lot of cattle do. They eat what they need that they would normally get in the wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the, can we talk, because I don't think people really know about the timing with bison. So, when I think of bison, I think there's, so I was at Yellowstone Park when I was 16.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just this huge buffalo, like just sitting there. And all these people were just around taking pictures. And I was like, I don't think this is a good idea.
No, I know. They just, they always get too close to them. They are very much still wild and dangerous. They're used to us being in the pasture with them, but you do still have to be.
So what's the gestation? Like a baby's born, how long do they last? Like, do they all turn up on our table? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so...
And I'm very conflicted about it because I think they're beautiful and I love animals, but I also love meat. So it's such a struggle.
And it's a very healthy meat. But we have a bunch of babies right now on the farm. But we have a breeding herd, so that herd is just has the large males that you know the bulls
big ones,
that you see, and then a lot of them cows, and then the babies.
Okay.
And then we have our production herd, which would
Get slaughtered.
yeah.
Right.
But we process them it's usually around 2.5 to 4 years old.
Okay, so you really are putting in a lot of time.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
growing
yeah.
the product.
Yeah, it takes a long time. So, when we get people coming in, they ask if we do like half bison, stuff like that. And we don't like, it takes a while to get that product to
standard, like where you need
Yeah.
it. So let's talk about bison meat. Let's talk about what you're selling and sort of the cuts and how to cook it, because I'll order bison when I'm out. I love bison. I think it's a super lean meat. I think it's really flavorful.
Yeah.
But I don't cook it at home because I don't really know how to. So can we talk about the different cuts, what you guys sell,
so we
where
have
we can buy it?
Yeah, we have our own farm store on the property. So when you come to the farm, you can shop.
I'm coming today. Yes.
There's hundreds of cuts of meat. So we have everything from bison sausages that have different flavors, like a whiskey peach or bourbon fennel.
Oh, yeah.
We have bison jerky and trail sticks for your to-go meats. All your popular steaks, so New York strip, ribeye, tenderloin fillet. And then what's interesting is we have a lot of these steaks that are you see on a menu at a restaurant,
right?
But you never see sold in the store. So like your Merlot steak, your Picana steak.
Well, I think what's happening more and more is that people are realizing that whole animal cooking is super important.
Yeah.
And you can't just have tenderloin, or you just can't have, the prime rib. Like you have to use these other cuts of meat, right?
Yeah. And we do have pamphlets for each cut, so it tells you like how to cook it, what part of the animal it's from, gives you recipes.
Because it's leaner, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have the same fat content as an Angus or an F1.
Yeah, it's very lean. It's healthier for you. It's higher in iron, B vitamins. It's lower in calories and cholesterol, so it's really, really good for you.
And people can come to the farm?
Yeah.
Do you encourage that?
Yes, Wednesday through Sunday, 9 to 5. We do self-guided walking tours.
Okay.
So we give you a farm map and show you where the herd is at the moment.
Oh my God.
And then you can walk to see the herd, come stop by the store, shop. We have bones, crafts. We use every part of the bison.
Okay, bones like for dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We have painted bones like skulls. We keep the skulls and we let them decompose naturally, and then we paint them or leave them natural. And then we have bones for dogs, and anything that's not for human consumption is ground up into our raw dog food diet. So we have a raw all bison dog food, a bison and chicken dog food.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And do you ship?
Yeah. Yeah, we ship all over, yeah.
All right. So tell people where we can find you. Obviously, everything we talked about will be in show notes. But tell everybody where we can find you, either online or in the grocery stores.
Yeah, VirginiaBison.com, and then Instagram and Facebook, Virginia Bison.
Okay.
We do have some product in Mom's Grocery.
Amazing.
So you can find stuff there, but mostly our store and then online.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining me. It's so interesting. I can't wait to see you at the farm later today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to do talking more food because we're going to be talking about Green Ribbon here at the winery. We'll be back in just a sec. So clearly there's so much going on here in Culpeper between the bison and the truffles and wineries and breweries and distilleries. But here at the vineyard, there is actually a restaurant. I'm sitting in this like fabulous Irish pub that has been built from scratch. And with me is Jacqueline Yarnell, whose name I keep getting nervous and I'm going to screw up. But she and her sisters are Green Ribbon Restaurant, which executes here. And you're kind of new to executing here on property. How long have you been here?
just about 4 years.
Okay, so 4 years,
Yeah,
but like it
yeah,
wasn't part, as we know,
The initial
there was
plan.
no master plan.
No,
So,
but we became part of the commune here.
Which I love. So let's talk a little bit about your background, because I now know the reason for why it's called Green Ribbon, but I'd love for you to tell the story of like how you wound up being a chef.
Well, I grew up in the restaurants. My family has had them since I was a kid. My aunts and uncles have had bakeries, everything.
Okay. And your dad had a restaurant here?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So I loved food, always have. But like anybody who is brought up in an industry, they want to run away from it. So I went to school for college for something else. But then finally, I kind of succumbed to my need to. I really enjoy feeding people and making them happy, and who gets to continually just make people happy every day? Like, there are not that many professions. So I wound up going to cooking school in Paris at the Cordon Bleu, and I did my grand diploma in pastry and cuisine. And since I've been back, I got.
But you did know you wanted to come back to Culpeper.
Yeah.
And did you know that you wanted to create your own restaurant? What did you want to do initially after your training?
I mean, it's been kind of an adaptive thing, just trying to figure out where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to do it with my sister. And
So how many sisters are involved?
3 of us.
Okay, there's 3 of
Yes,
you.
yes.
Okay.
Initially, it was just Jody and I. And she is the front of the house queen. She can get everything done, plus the paperwork, which I'm really bad at.
Okay, the admin is really, really important. Agreed.
Yeah, so that's not my favorite. So it's wonderful that I have her to do that.
And then the third sister?
Yeah, Vicky moved down here. So with COVID happening, she was outside of Philadelphia. And we know how cities were during COVID. And we were down here and we kind of said, hey, we would love to have you. And so she's been down here. She does all of our social media, and she's the social media queen.
I love that.
And she runs the cart. So she takes all the orders, talks to the customers, which she's really, really good at.
Okay, so how did you wind up executing Green Ribbon, which is a nod to Cordon Bleu?
Yeah.
How did you wind up here?
I've known Ryan's dad for a little while, and his mom. And then with COVID, I wasn't really doing much because everything had shut down. And they were doing takeout, like grab and go stuff for the wines and beers. And it happened to be Mother's Day, and I was like, well, I'm not really doing anything. Wouldn't it be great if I maybe made some quiches? And so we kind of started there, and it just kept rolling and kept rolling. So
you started initially with their to-go stuff, adding food for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And was this built already?
This building was.
Okay. Did it have a kitchen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So Pat is the master builder, and the master visionary.
Right.
So he had this space, and he's like, "How about we do a kitchen?" And so now
my God, what a gift from the gods!
Amazing. Yeah,
that is incredible.
Are extremely grateful.
But he already had the space, and he wanted this Irish pub vibe. So how do you take your classic French training and create a menu for here?
Well, I mean, you kind of utilize everything that you know and everybody that you've encountered to bring into your food, and that's what I try to do here. So, I mean, my pub fries, which we sell a lot of French fries.
I have no doubt, because you have beer and you have like all this distilled deliciousness and wine.
And they want people to stay longer, so you need some hearty.
And you also need some substance. It's a lot of liquor.
Exactly, but that the sauce for that starts with a roux. So I incorporate a lot of my traditional French training into the thing.
Okay, so wait, you started telling me about the fries.
Oh yeah,
Tell me.
The sauce is like a Welsh rarebit, so I use their beers, which I try to be really cohesive with the menu here. So I use a lot of their alcohols, beers, and wines in the cooking.
Okay.
So the cheese sauce is a roux base, but then it's aged cheddar, beer, their lager, the Helles lager, and dried mustard. So it just, I don't know, it's one of my favorite things.
It sounds delicious. And what are some other things, like seasonally, like if we were to come in, in the early fall, early winter, in the winter, like how do you seasonally change what's on the menu?
I just see what's out there for the different farmers. As far as like right now, we got some great fresh peaches in. So I've been doing, burrata and arugula with the fresh grilled peaches.
Yum.
So glazed with a little bit of their agave. So yeah, again, just trying to be really cohesive with the products and treat the local products well too.
Well, when you talk about using their products, where there's some of their products that you were like, oh, like when I see this Old House Distillery, the coffee house, like
tiramisu.
That's what I was thinking. Does this go in dessert?
Yeah, because we do wine dinners once a month. So those are the first Thursday of every month, and we do.
So do you talk with the winemaker? You look at the wines and decide how you want to pair things?
Yeah.
How much fun!
It's super fun. Yeah, I love it. We're actually having one come up this August.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
so once a month you do it. And is it always wine, or is there sometimes, do we do one with spirits?
We got the trifecta.
You're like, I'm going to feature all of it.
Yeah, we feature
I know,
all
I'm
of
thinking because of, you talked about using the products, I'm thinking, well, the first thing I was thinking was like in the winter, like a beef bourguignon. But of course, now I'm thinking bison bourguignon.
Oh, that'd be great.
Just saying.
I call it a Stevens bourguignon because we here are in Stevensburg, and the wine that I use is, from Stevensburg. So,
that's perfect. Right, that makes sense. Now that you're doing this and you're here with your sisters doing it, like, I mean, and given like that they put this kitchen together for you, which I mean, I think there are going to be chefs out there that are like, wait, nobody's ever built a kitchen for me.
Yeah, and you should see the walk-in.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm coming. I want to see that walk-in.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So do you work with a lot of local farms? Like, do you work with a lot of the local products here? Because
I try to, yeah.
Because I would assume it's hard. Like, this is a massive property.
Right, you can go from 10 people to 1,000 people very quickly.
But do they do a lot of events?
We do a lot of events. We do a lot of weddings, birthday parties,
and you
such.
Do all of it?
Yeah, and I really, really love doing it. We try to incorporate people and their first date meal into their dinner menus. So we really, that's what I like to do, is create these menus that are part of someone's life, not just what I want to do, but what makes them them. And so that's what I like about doing the weddings here. It's really nice.
That's great. So you do all the catering?
Not all, but some.
A lot of the catering.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of the meals in here, these specialty dinners.
Yeah.
So everything we can find where?
Green Ribbon VA. So that's greenribbonva.com, Green Ribbon VA on Instagram. We list our, like Fridays we do seafood nights, so starting at 4:30. We have a lot of seafood items that we bring in from a fishmonger up north that comes down.
What kind of seafood are we talking about?
Well, from everything from a lobster sandwich, a lobster salad sandwich. I do a Culpeper fella, which I use their gin here to make my version or our version of Rockefeller, but using local ingredients.
Cool.
So, yeah.
How much fun.
Yeah,
all right, great. Okay, so we have where everybody can find you. So everybody should come in and check you out.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay, we're going to bring back Paige from Culpeper just to wrap us up for the end of the show. We'll be back in just a sec.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm bringing back Paige Reed from Culpeper because we are wrapping up the show. I mean, if you haven't gotten the hint that there is so much to do out here in Culpeper, I don't know what else to tell you. I am going to be traveling around today and seeing lots of the things, not only that we talked about here today, but all these other fabulous activations happening around the area. So all of that will be on my Instagram. Always check out my reels. Always check out my highlights. And before I give my final pitch, let me bring in Paige. Yeah. So Paige, I mean, we had so many great conversations today.
Yes.
There's so many interesting businesses out here, especially in the agritourism space. Was that an intent initially? Like once people started like building restaurants, like the first couple wineries, did the powers that be here realize what a generator of income agritourism could be for the region?
Absolutely. I mean, we're very agrarian in our roots to begin with, the region and Culpeper.
Yes, but I feel like a lot of people like negated those roots for a long time. Do you know what I mean?
The country negated those roots for a long time.
Yes.
You know, I mean, on the macro level, the Industrial Revolution wanted to pull people away from the land.
Sure.
But, you know, the land is what sustains us.
Of course.
And, you know, I mean, think about all of your favorite memories. It's either the people or the food. You know, it's going to touch those senses. And so Here, we've had generations of leaders and elected officials that have helped protect the land. And we are so grateful for those that have come before that are still here today. We get to be a part of the story for a little bit.
Right.
And so protecting the land, giving the opportunity for folks to really be able to produce, to grow, and to then feed.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's still here. It's still very strong today. And agritourism, I think, was, curiosity. Like we're all curious,
right?
And so to get to go out there and experience it firsthand,
Europe, right? Like
yes.
if you think about Europe, like when you go and travel to Europe, agritourism has always been a part of that experience. Do you know what I mean? Whether you were visiting wineries or truffle hunting or things of that nature, that's always been a part of it. And I really do feel that in the maybe the last 20 years, there's been a real drive for people to really enjoy the offerings that should be here.
Well, we kind of had to grow up some. I mean, America's not that old.
Very true.
So they had it before us. Culpeper's older than America.
Right. Once again, just let me remind you, Culpeper is older. Yes.
But I think we needed to catch up, and we have. And now we give those opportunities to folks to be able to see. We have a great farm tour every year. We have an annual farm tour here, where while we have annual farm stores where you can go out, not just at Virginia Bison, but Lakota and plenty of others. Moving Meadows is one of my favorites. So I have a lot of favorites.
Right.
That's that
why
connection.
You're good at what you do.
They make it easy.
Right.
They make it easy. But yeah, the people connecting with it firsthand. I mean, it makes great memories. So,
great. All right. So tell everybody, you mentioned like a trail before.
Yes, the Purely Piedmont.
Okay. Talk about where people can access that and how they can sort of get in on all these things here, like where the website, where they can go, all of it.
So visit culpeperva.com will kind of be your launch. It'll connect you to Purely Piedmont. It'll connect you to all of the partners that you've spoken to today that you're about to meet.
Right.
It'll talk to you about if you want to come by rail or the scenic byways, or if once you're here.
Because the train goes right by my hotel, Amtrak.
Amtrak, it'll bring you here, the Cardinal and the Crescent line. So you don't have to drive, but if you do, throw your bike on. We've got cycling routes galore. Head out, hike Old Rag, come back and be well fed. So it's all there at Visit Culpeper. We also have Purely Piedmont, and then all of our great partners, you can find them direct. And
great.
We'll build it together.
Great. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Stay here for one sec while I wrap up. So thank you for joining me today. This has been Nycci Nellis Does Culpeper. It has been such a joy and such an experience. I hope you got just as much out of it as I did. Again, don't forget to follow me at NYCCINELLIS on all the platforms, but definitely on Instagram, because you will see everything that I've been talking about today in both my highlights and in reels, and of course just static photos. Download this, listen to it on any of your podcast platforms, but also you can watch it on YouTube. Don't forget to check out the listeryouwantit.com, the online e-zine that tells you everything that's happening. I will be including Culpeper from now on, obviously, because you need to know about it. And I think that's it. So thanks so much for joining me today. Next week I'm back at Old Vineyards. I've got Greg Anger joining me. We are going to be talking beer. It's going to be great. Thanks again and have a delicious week.
Produced by Heartcast Media.